Hi, it's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and today I thought I'd take a few minutes to show you some of my hits and misses when it came to what I've been sewing lately. Now, you've seen these before. These are pouches made from candy bags, and I made 4 or 5 of these trying to get them right, and these were not quite an epic fail, but not good enough to give to people. That was my original intention, that these I was going to give as like gifts to some of my friends when we get together for a dinner party or whatever. And the big problem with these was really the zipper. Now this one opens up pretty good, but my problem here was I didn't get the seams in far enough. I have this problem sometimes when I'm sewing seams. For some reason I miss part of them, especially when they're ones that are quilted so that they're a little thicker layer. So I've got to be much more careful about that. Others of these, this one came out not too bad. However, I wasn't really happy with the way the zipper closed. It was catching, as you can see. I'm struggling with it. Similarly, this one I think might have been one of my better ones. Yeah, no guts hanging out of it or anything like that. And the zipper on it closes pretty good as well. So that one was probably a hit. This one was a real epic disaster because I just kept on going. I wasn't catching the seams. I kept sewing on it. The zipper wasn't sitting upright. This one, an epic fail. And this one, I think, was the first one that I made, and you can see I'm struggling with the zipper again because it's catching. So back to the drawing board with all of those. So then I decided that I would make a pouch for my mother. She's in the hospital, and I thought this would be good to keep her makeup and her brushes in and things like that. And it turned out pretty good. It's actually lined, sort of lined. Well, it is lined. It's got a different fabric in it. Better zipper. One of the problems I had with those other pouches was I used cheap zippers from Michaels, and they're way too narrow and they're just difficult to work with. Don't waste your money on them. This is something called zipper tape, and you cut the length you want, then put on the closure, and they work really well. And you can see that's a very smooth mechanism. I did a little bit of embroidery with my embroidery machine on top of this. But the only thing was, and this turned out fine. There's nothing really wrong with it except this. See the top, the zipper? It only goes that far. And so I thought I was doing something wrong. So I made another one. And since this was going to be a gift for my mother for her birthday, I was playing around with embroidering her name. Now, this one, no, the corners are flat. What I did with this, again, the zipper works very well with this. The bag is lined inside. It's quite nice inside. And I have square bottoms, just like you would put on a tote bag. So the idea was this could sit up. I know I can't get this all in the shot, but this would sit up, you know, which I thought would make things a little easier. And so this worked out okay, but the reason I'm not happy with it, 2 things. One, the embroidery doesn't show up very well on this background. There's a purple thing here, and that just didn't work. And also, I think I put it too low on the bag. And again, problem with the zipper. It doesn't close all the way. So, cast that one aside, decide to try another one. Same thing, I got nice boxed corners on this. Different material. I really like this material. I decided to lighten the embroidery, move it up. That wasn't too bad, although this design is still getting lost in the background. Zipper works fine. It's lined. But what I thought I'd do, in order to avoid that gap that's happening there, I would put tabs on the end of the zippers. And I watched some YouTube videos about that. Looked pretty easy. So I did that, and I put them on the wrong side because I do have tabs. They're inside the bag. I should have done it the other way around. So my tabs are basically useless. They're inside the bag. So cast that one off. So then I was watching a video about using your embroidery hoops with your embroidery machine to create this little bag. Now this one's a little different because it's all quilted. It is layered like a quilt. It does have a zipper, but the zipper's not in the top. It's on, you know, partway down on the front of this bag. Looks kind of nice on the back. I did not embroider this one, but I did use the embroidery machine to do the quilting, the stippling. That's on it. and it turned out pretty nice. The only problem with this bag is that I think it's a little small for what I want to use with my mother, and I can't make it any bigger given the size of the hoops I have for my embroidery machine. And the instructions that I got, I downloaded the pattern, the stitching information to load into my embroidery machine, but their written instructions sucked. They were really bad. This comes from a company called Applique Corner, and I think basically they rely upon doing a YouTube video to show you how to make these things as opposed to written instructions. So I did go to the YouTube video, I did watch that. That did make things a little bit clearer. But I still had to actually stitch out a map, a stitching map kind of a thing on a piece of stabilizer, because they had each of the different layers of stitching in a different color, none of which these colors were the colors that you would use to make this bag. Essentially, I just used black thread, black embroidery thread, and so I wasn't sure. They had diagrams, but the diagrams had thread on top of thread. You couldn't tell which colors they were using. So I had to stitch out my own diagram, and from there I figured it out. Now it did work. However, the time it took to make this bag using that method was not much of a time saver. Now mind you, it was the first time I had to figure out the instructions and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't really know what I was doing. If I was to make one this way again, I think it would go faster. But I don't see a great deal of advantage to this, and I will show you why. And it means I have to go and get the final version of the bag or the pouch I'm actually going to give my mother. So I'll be right back. So this is the final version after all those experiments, and this one I am very happy with. Although there is room for improvement, and I'll explain that in a minute. So this is much bigger, as you can see, and I did some embroidery work. It is quilted. This is a quilting stitch that's on here. On the back side of it, I did the pattern, and I embroidered her name on this as well. And of course, because the color of the material was much lighter, this shows up much better. I didn't use the patterns that I downloaded from Applique Corner for this, but I did use their style. I altered a couple of things. One, the zipper you see is sort of in the middle. It's almost like a pillow. Actually, come to think of it, this design could make a pillow as well. I mean, yeah, you could do the zippered pillow cover. Hey, cool. Anyways, just a little thought on the side. But this zipper, you'll notice the one on this one I made that's smaller. The zipper's a little closer to the top. This one's more in the middle. That was an idiot move. It wasn't supposed to be like that. I was supposed to get the zipper a little higher up, but I had to create my own measurements for this, and I thought I had given it, made enough measurements to put the zipper up a little higher. Guess I didn't. It sort of ended up in the middle of the bag. However, that isn't as big of an idiot move as you would think, because for my mother, this will be really easy. Because she's in a hospital bed, and because she's got a little table that, they wheel up for meals and things, and I wanted this to put her brushes in and some makeup she has in there, I think this will make it a little easier for her to get inside of it, as you can see, as opposed to one that has it up here where you have basically useless space up in this part. So that was an idiot move. That was a fortunate idiot move. I have some goodies stuck inside this bag for her too when I give it to her later this week. Again though, the zipper closes very nicely in this style of bag, no gap, and it's buried in there. It's not quite an invisible zipper, but it is, the material comes right up to the edges of the zipper, which is really nice too. And I think overall it turned out very nice. Now, the corners on this are a little bit rounded, and there is a reason for that. Another idiot move. When I got this all sewn and I turned it back the right sides out, I noticed there was a little gap on one of the seams that didn't get caught. Okay, I have this problem, as I said before. So I just turned it inside out again, and I went over that one spot. Well, then I noticed when I poked it out, the corners, a couple of the corners had some of the quilt batting that's in between the layers popping out, and I went, I didn't catch those either enough. So I just decided, I had done a 1/4 inch seam all the way around. I decided to do another 1/4 inch from that seam. So actually the bag became a little smaller, but it's secure. And really, for the amount that I lost in dimension, it doesn't hurt it. Now you will notice though, the embroidery goes under the seams on the ends, and that is partially due to the fact that I made a 1/2 inch seam allowance virtually as opposed to a 1/4. And also it has to do with the way I lined it up on the embroidery hoops, because I couldn't do these in one piece. I had to do them in like this section first, and I had to move the material, and I had to finagle it around to get it in the right position to do the other design as well. But it looks like it was purposely supposed to be done that way, so that's going to be my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I'm really happy with how this one turned out. And as I said, I can make more of these now. I've got my formula down, and this was much faster, even with having to do this embroidery, which takes some time, faster than doing it, the whole thing, in embroidery hoops like I did with this one. So I'm very pleased with this. So what else have I been making? Well, speaking of embroidery, I got a couple of inexpensive towels. I think these were from a store called Yisk, and they were like $2.50 a towel, just a hand towel. Color's not exactly perfect, but I want to try doing this to see what would happen if I'm just looking at the bottom of this. Oh yeah, that's okay. Never mind, a little side. And I did this butterfly. Actually, I did 2 of these towels, and I did the same design, the same colors, and I flipped the butterfly in the other towel, so when they're hanging on the rack, the 2 towels, the butterflies face into each other. The only thing I'm not happy about, well actually 2 things I'm not happy about. I really didn't think about the placement of my embroidery design. This is a hand towel. Where do people put their hands usually? Sort of in the center of the towel when it's hanging on a rack. So this needed to go down here further. Because nobody wants to put their hands on the embroidery to dry it, right? And also that may muck it up a little bit. You know, they're just a hand towel, guest towel kind of a thing, so it's not going to be like people have oil all over their hands or paint or something. But nevertheless, it would have been better down there. Second of all, in this design, there are antennae that come out from the butterfly, which I think you really need to see, because then this is somewhat of an abstract design of a butterfly, but without the antenna, you don't know what it is. You know, you don't know if this is eyes and ears and this is a dragon or something, whatever. It is a butterfly. But they only did 1 line of stitching, and the nape of the towels is kind of hiding it. So maybe not the most appropriate design for a towel for it to stand out. I did like the design, but it would have showed up better if it wasn't on a towel. Okay, so I am going to have some more of these towels. I am going to make some other ones, and I have another design that has some hummingbirds on it that I think would look really nice, and I will put them in the lower segment of the towel, and they should look quite nice. But you know, for a first effort, not too bad at all. So the other project that I did was I made a pillow. I'll just pull it back here so you can get a good look at it. Well, I'm not doing very well on looking here. Let me just adjust this a little bit up. There you go. So this turned out great. I made 2 of them. This is a scrappy pillow because I saw a YouTube video where basically you just take strips of leftover material, sew them all together onto a base piece of material, and trim it up and put in a 16-inch pillow form. And on the back, you can see I used different types of material, 2 different types of material, and I created it as a pocket. So you see there's the pillow stuffing inside, but easy enough to get this out. Doesn't take a zipper or anything like that, although I could have put a zipper in like I did on that other pouch, because essentially it's the same kind of design. So actually, I just thought of something. You could make one of those pouches without a zipper. Just use this design. That would work too. Although your stuff might fall out. It's not as secure, but hey, there's an idea. So this turned out really well. Very fast to sew, and you're using up your scraps. And I especially love, I use that as my focal piece down both of the pillows, because I really love that butterfly pattern. And actually, I didn't buy pillow forms. Pillow forms can be pricey. And I happened to be over at that Yisk store again, and I saw that they had some outdoor chair pillows on sale for $4.99 a piece, and they were 16 inches, and that's what this was designed for, 16-inch pillow. Actually, I think I cut this about 17 inches, and that seemed to work out perfectly for sizing. And I figured, well, shoot, why spend $8 or $9 on a 16-inch pillow form when you get these ones for $4.99? And weird part about them is they actually have, I didn't realize it when I bought them, but this cover that's on that pillow in there will actually come off. There's a little tiny hidden zipper on it. So got a pillow within a pillow kind of a thing. And the whole idea of this enclosure here is it makes it easy. If I need to wash this, I can take it off the pillow, no problem, wash it and plunk it back in. So I was really pleased with the way these turned out. This is not an idiot move. This worked perfectly. So anyways, I thought I'd share with you some of the projects I've been working on, and I'm loving them and I love doing them. It's so much fun, and stay tuned for more projects in the near future. Bye for now.